Hey guys, it's Hidan'sHeathen. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite standalone episodes in Gintama. I'm only looking at episodes that completely conclude in one episode, so even mini arcs like the OE arc, the Feigned Illness arc, and the Shogun haircut arc aren't included in this list. If you are trying to get into Gintama, I recommend watching at least one of these episodes to get yourself hooked on the series and then starting the anime from the beginning. Well, without further ado, let's start the list. Coming in at number 10 is episode 109, Life is a Test. This episode follows Yamazaki as he tries to infiltrate the Joey anti-foreign faction. In order to become a Joey terrorist, Yamazaki has to go through an interview stage, a test stage, which includes a Japanese, math, and foreign language section, and a skill stage. The entire concept is hilarious, and Katsuda compares the terrorist recruitment process to job hunting. During the interview stage, Katsuda asks Yamazaki for his resume and questions why he's not wearing a suit. The test stage, though, is hands down the most hilarious part of the episode, and it eventually devolves into a Jackie Chan and Hong Kong action movie spoof. It's an extremely funny episode, and I absolutely loved the concept. Ranked at number 9 is episode 110, People Are All Escapees of Their Own Inner Prisons. This episode is a spoof on Alcatraz, and it revolves around a prisoner who has dug a hole to escape the prison but can't commence his plan because Katsuda had moved into the cell across from him. At one point, the prisoner trying to escape attempts to get Katsuda to sleep by counting sheep, but in a true Gintama fashion, the episode drifts from counting sheep to an endearing story about high school basketball rivals. Katsuda eventually inadvertently becomes the leader of the prison, and it seems like the prison has been reformed before the ending throws the viewer through a loop. Number 8 on this list is episode 217, What Happens Twice Can Happen Thrice. This episode is probably more well known as the Shogun Pool episode, and it is just a perfect episode to watch if you are looking for a laugh. All episodes that contain the Shogun are examples of perfect comedy in my opinion, and in this episode chaos ensues when the Yorozuya and Hasegawa have been put to work as lifeguards for a local pool. It is a pretty anarchic episode, but it's very enjoyable to watch, which is why it's on this list. Ranked at number 7 is episode 119. Within each box of cigarettes, there are 1 or 2 cigarettes that smell like dung. This episode is pretty much a Dragon Ball spoof under the guise of an anti-smoking campaign. The episode starts out with Sogo leading a resolution against smoking within the Shinsengumi headquarters. Although Sogo claims he wanted to start the campaign because of public health, it's pretty clear he just wants to mess with Hijikata. The resolution passes, and then Hijikata goes outside where he discovers the entire world has become pretty hostile towards smoking. When smoking is about to get banned, he decides to go to Hamek, a spoof on Dragon Ball's Namek, where tobacco is made. After that, Hijikata essentially spends the entire episode fighting Dragon Ball spoof characters and bouncing around planets in order to get a smoke. It's pretty amazing. Coming in at number 6 is episode 231. When you go to a funeral for the first time, you're surprised by how happy the people are there. This episode takes place at a funeral for the restaurant owner who would cook things specially for Gintoki and Hijikata's bizarre tastes. The episode starts out as a nice tribute, but quickly turns comedic when Hijikata and Gintoki see the ghost of the restaurant owner. The restaurant owner is supervising his own funeral to make sure that things proceed without a hitch, and when things start to head south, the ghost goes Super Saiyan. Ranked at number 5 is episode 25, Life is Like a Shared Hotpot. This episode celebrates the start of a new Gintama season, and it is the first episode that has the iconic no animation narrative, where the characters talk with this still image as the background. The episode follows the main characters of Yorozuya as they try to outsmart each other and eat the sukiyaki meat in the hot pot. If you have seen Death Note, you will probably love this episode because the entire episode is pretty much a play off of Death Note's animation style and the light-esque monologues as to who they need to look out for. Gintoki also briefly references Itachi from Naruto when he tells Kagura, "Hate me, blame me, curse me, use the power of that hatred to make it through this rotten world," when he tricked Kagura by grabbing the meat when she was distracted. I had already liked Gintama before this episode, but episode 20 and this episode, episode 25, was what made me really fall in love with the series. Coming in at number 4 is episode 273. When compared to time in heaven, 50 years of human life resembles nothing but dreams and lottery tickets. In this episode, Hijikata is given a lost lottery ticket from the woman who he buys his cigarettes from. The lottery ticket ends up being the winning ticket, but it is then revealed that Gintoki was the person who had lost the lottery ticket in the first place. The rest of the episode then revolves around Gintoki Hijikata antics, and while trying to cash in the lottery ticket, they both become implicated in a bank robbery, and then somehow manage to become the leaders of the group of bank robbers. The episode starts off a little bit slower, but the bank robbery part of the episode is probably one of my favorite comedic scenes in Gintama, which is why it ranks so highly on this list. Number 3 on this list is episode 153, Kagura Can't Sleep. If you have ever not been able to sleep, you will be able to relate to this episode. The episode itself is pretty self-explanatory as it follows Kagura's journey to fall asleep. She pretty much sacrifices Gintoki's sleep while trying to gain her own, and the episode reaches a climax when Kagura puts on the radio and a story is narrated about a girl who had a dog named Jerry. The story is a spoof off of the Japanese story about Hachiko, a dog who was told to wait at Shibuya Station by its owner and died at the station waiting for its owner to return. However, in Gintama, the story's genre suddenly turns from sentimental tragedy to horror, prompting Gintoki to jump up and smash the radio. The episode is so great because it's simultaneously relatable and absurd. Ranked at number 2 is episode 216, I Can't Remember a Single Thing About the Factory Tour. This episode is probably better known as a Patriot episode, and it will make you continuously laugh from pretty much the first few seconds until the end. The episode is about children who are visiting various workplaces in order to get a feel for what type of job they may wish to pursue in the future. One of these child groups visits Yodoziya, and since Gintoki feels embarrassed to tell them what he actually does, he invents a device called a Patriot, which is comprised of 2 boxes of tissues, 2 toilet paper rolls, and a stick. The group then concocts a master narrative on the creation of the Patriot to try to redeem themselves after the children call them out on the uselessness of the Patriot, but the kids don't fall for their dramatics. This episode made me laugh the hardest out of any standalone episode of Gintama, which is why it is number 2, but there is one episode that has the Patriot beat. That episode, ranked number 1 on this list, is episode 188. An observation journal should be seen through to the very end. This episode is a masterpiece. Whenever I am trying to get someone into Gintama, I always tell them to watch this episode first because it is probably the most unique anime episode I've ever seen. The episode follows Daigoro, a kid who has to write an observation journal for school during summer vacation. Whereas his peers wrote their observation journals on things like flowers, Daigoro observes Hasegawa, and as he sees Hasegawa's dreary outlook on life, he continually asks himself, when will the Madao bloom? Daigoro's narration style gets more complex as his interactions with the Madao do, and eventually the viewer learns that Daigoro's father turned into a Madao, which is why his mom is raising him alone. This episode has very dark humor, but it ends on a more heartfelt and comedic note. If you haven't seen Gintama, please watch this episode or one of the episodes on this list, and I promise you that you will be hooked. I quickly want to list some honorable mention episodes. Episode 166, 2 is better than 1, 2 people are better than 1, which is the episode where Gintoki and Hijikata get handcuffed to each other. Episode 38, which gave birth to the blessed Neo Armstrong Cyclone Jet Armstrong Cannon meme. Episode 265, Dog Food Doesn't Have As Much Flavor As You Think, where Sadaharu runs away and takes care of another stray dog. And episode 20, Beware of Conveyor Belts, where Yorozuya tried to exorcise a ghost for the Shinsengumi. Gintama is my favorite anime of all time, and the standalone episodes are one of the reasons it is such a fantastic show. I plan on making a video essay soon on what makes Gintama a special anime, so be sure to look out for that. Anyway, that's it for this video. Please like, subscribe, and comment your favorite standalone Gintama episode, and I will see you in the next video.